morning and welcome back to CityLine. With me, I have someone that I feel like I have known since I moved to Tacoma 6 years ago. I've known her in many iterations, but what I know to be true is this woman has such a heart for our city and for helping other people. Please join me in welcoming the Executive Director of Tacoma Community House, Lauren Walker Lee. Good morning, my dear.
So nice to be back, Amanda. Thank you for asking us to come back.
Oh, if I could have you back every week, I would, but I'm sure you would get tired of all those pesky questions I have to ask you.
Nah.
Speaking of questions, let's talk about, I see a lot of activity on Facebook and on Instagram with Tacoma Community House. How are things going at Tacoma Community House with the COVID-19 crisis?
Well, they're going really well, Amanda. I mean, it's still a struggle, isn't it? For everybody, whether we're home or at work. But in the beginning, everybody was home and it was hard to figure out how to serve clients. And now we have people back in the building. The last time I was here, I was at home and now I'm in my office. And so we have people coming in to meet with clients. We're rocking our masks and social distancing protocols. And so we've really moved a long way in the last 5 months.
Absolutely. You know, Lauren, it just occurred to me that I want to give our audience a definition of who your clients are, because I believe that sets the framework for how challenging this could be. And that's not one of the things we talked about, but can you tell our audience real quick who you serve?
Well, you know, we serve over 3,000 people per year. About 75 to 80% of those people are immigrants and refugees, and they come in and they take English classes. We help them with employment. We help them with getting green cards. We help with client advocacy in terms of domestic violence. We have a whole array of programs, but then we also help kids in the Tacoma public school system with the Read to Me program. We have just so many different programs. We have high school equivalency classes to help people to get their GEDs. So we help a lot of different people in a lot of different ways.
Thank you for that, because I believe it sets the table for understanding how intimate and how difficult communication can be normally, but let's add the pandemic onto it as well. So Lauren, when we look at that, what new ways are you serving your clients?
Well, for example, one of the things that we identified really early on, which is not something that we got funding for, is that there were a lot of people with food insecurity, that they were nervous about going to shelters. So we started doing food distribution a couple of times a month to the Latinx Hispanic community. That has now expanded through our wonderful relationship with the Emergency Food Network to every 2 weeks to a broader array of our clients, but also to community members. So who knew that we'd be helping with that? And so we're just finding new ways to do things and identifying areas where there's definite need.
So we talked about the history of Tacoma Community House in terms of service delivery. How has that changed? Who do you serve now? Because the definition of perhaps who you would have served before and now could be different.
Well, you know, in many ways, it's the same. We started out in 1910 as a settlement house that was run by the United Methodist Women. And it started off with identifying that there were immigrants living in the neighborhood that needed services. We have been doing that same kind of footprint where this group of United Methodist Women in those early days started looking around in the community and seeing kids that needed help, social service organizations that needed places to meet. So we started doing English classes for the Filipino community in the 1920s. We started the first kindergarten for children because there was no kindergarten in the Tacoma public schools. And here we are doing Read to Me. we built a gym in the 1930s, I believe, that was for the kids in the neighborhood. And we have youth programs that are in the neighborhood. And we also were the only organization that was giving meeting space to the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, because throughout the community, they weren't allowing African-American boys and girls to become members of Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. And Tacoma Community House made that happen. We also were supporters of other organizations like the Colored Women's Club and the Urban League before they had their own buildings. And so we are doing many of those same kinds of things even today, in that even we have the REACH program. We've been a huge supporter of the REACH program for the last 10 years.
Tell us what the REACH program is, because I see that phrase quite a bit. So let us know, or tell us what does that include? What does it mean?
You know, just over 10 years ago, there were a number of community organizations that wanted to figure out a better way to help youth and young adults age 16 to 24. So there was a lot of talk and organization to start this collaboration of agencies to do a better service model, a one-stop shop. And so 10 years ago, they decided to be located at the Goodwill building that's on South 27th and Tacoma Avenue South. And then we've been the fiscal agent of that organization for the last 10 years. And so we've done all their finances, we coordinate all the grant writing, all of their employees are ours, but we've been this supportive organization to that REACH program for 16 to 24-year-old youth, which fits back into that historical context, doesn't it? Of building a gym for the kids in the neighborhood, just looking where there's need beyond just that immigrant and refugee profile that people so much admire about Tacoma Community House.
I have this feeling that Tacoma Community House is like the ultimate co-parent or parent, because you just come alongside people, find out what they need, and then you help them achieve it. So it's heartwarming to know that that has been going on for so long. And even in this day and age, it still continues with all that we have on our plate right now. Let's talk about funding, Lauren, because funding streams are looking different these days during COVID-19. What is your funding stream, and how have you, if you had to, adjust?
We have a lot of funding streams. We have federal dollars, state dollars, city and county dollars. We have a lot of foundations, and then our wonderful donors to our organization. We are very fortunate and very grateful for the kinds of funding that we get for our programs. In this crazy time of this pandemic, it's been quite a challenge of just trying to anticipate. You see cuts in the school system. For example, we've been the ones through the REACH program, but we've done all the checks for the Summer Jobs 253 program. And so you see the adjustment of the Tacoma Public Schools and the city making decisions about funding. Unfortunately, that's not happening this summer. There's other things like Read to Me. How do we do the Read to Me program with reduced funding and help kids? And so it's being crazily nimble and trying to figure out what's happening, figuring out how we can move staff around and have cross training within Tacoma Community House and do some different things based on funding that we do have. So it's just trying to keep focused on what's happening with funding, be smart and business wise as an organization. And we really are just really trying to keep our employees with their jobs and their benefits so that we can just really help our organization and help our clients.
Oh, well said. This may seem like a very obvious question, but I know that you probably have a very deep answer for it. What have you learned from this pandemic?
Oh my gosh. That we need to have compassion for each other. And that we need to be nimble, as I talked about. and that we also need to recognize that we're on this path together. I mean, we know that just in terms of business and funding, that we all need to work together to help the business climate, whether it's for nonprofits or for the for-profit sector. We all need to help each other. We all need to follow those health protocols, and rock wearing those masks, practice wearing those masks, practice that social distancing, and not be afraid of that. So, and it's just compassion, commitment, and action of just really working together as individuals together and the community to really stop this craziness, make sure we've got a healthy world, and move on into the future.
Beautifully said. When you think about what is needed on a community-wide scale, Lauren, what do you need to help your clients and your staff?
Well, we do need that compassion from people. We need people to help us with following the health protocols so that everybody can stay healthy and we can get people back in here to help them at a higher level. We're really helping clients well, but we're not helping as many as we used to because people are afraid. People are waiting for in-person English language classes. They are wanting to come in to meet with people to get some service delivery. So we need people to just help by following those, to support the organizations, and to help us by just being active, being patient for those volunteers that we have, to realize that we are going to have people be able to help in a much bigger level. The sooner the better.
Yes, I thank you so much for your beauty, for your grace, and for your example above all. And I need to have you back into my farmhouse in about 90 days to check in again. And hopefully we will be working our way toward the comfy couch.
Awesome.
All right.
I will look forward to that, Amanda.
Thank you so much, Lauren. We have much more to come on CityLine. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.